The derelict ship floated lifelessly in scrapyard of forgotten relic and-encrusted husks and shattered holes. The Is Vanguard had once been a proud warship, but now it was just another corpse in graveyard of outdated scavengers picked apart. It's incidentally whatever scraps they could. While the Galactic Council laughed at the very thought of it ever sailing the void again, it was a joke, a relic of an era long past, but Commander Elias Vance didn't see it that way. Standing on Theron Bridge, he ran his fingers across the old metal, feeling the faint hum off dying power core. Beneath his boots, the Vanguard was dead to everyone else, but to him it was just sleeping, and he was about to wake it up. Vince had been kicked out of the fleet, branded a disgrace for refusing Tobin and his men on the battlefield. Politicians had called him reckless, admirals labeled him a liability. Booth knew the truth. He had been too loyal, too dangerous to the system that valued obedience over honor. With nowhere to go, found himself here among the scraps, staring at his ship that had been discarded. Just like him, still got some fight left in you, old girl. He muttered, a voice behind him, Mata Hinton, talking to the junk now. Vance Hesmer, Dr. Rhea Carter, once one of the best AI engineers in the system, now just another outcast like him. She was exiled for building a sentient AI that scared the hell out of the bureaucrats, her creation. Havoc had been deemed too predictable to human rather than destroy. If she had stolen the core and disappeared, now she stood there, arms crossed, Debro raised. Not jump, Vance corrected. This ship is the key to getting our revenge. She sighed, stepping closer. On, running a hand over the shattered console. You really think you can bring this thing back in line? I don't think, he said. Ignore, her lips curled into a half smile. Well, then I hope you have a plan, because this rust bucket is going to need more than and just a fresh coat of paint. Vance turned to the shadows, where more figures emerged. Wrecker, a grizzled Marion with more cybernetic parts than flesh. Akela, rogue hackerwo, had once taken down an entire fleet security system just for fun. Vince looked at his team, outcast straighters, legends in the making. We're going to rebuild the Vanguard, he said, and when we're done, it will just be the most advanced warship in the system. A grin spread across his face. It'll be unstoppable the next few weeks. Where held ISS Vanguard wasn't just broken, it was barely holding itself together. Half off the systems were either fried or scavenged, and what remained was outdated junk that no modern fleet would have been considered, seeing the engines were rusted. The weapons had been stripped clean and the core completely wiped, but that didn't stop Vance and crew. They worked day and night patching together whatever scraps they could find. Wrecker handled the heavy lifting, welding armor plates and foreseeing the whole, while Kyle worked his magic, scouring the black market for anything resembling a modern warship system. Rhea spent most of her time buried in code reprogramming what little remained of the ship's framework, while secretly integrating Havoc, the AI that had nearly gotten her executed. And Vance, he did what he did best, lead power relays are shot. Wrecker grumbled, wiping sweat from his forehead. We need new ones. Then find some. Vance replied, engines are basically dead. Cal called out, we're talking 20% efficiency at best. Boost them. We're going to need some serious firepower. Rhea muttered, we're sitting ducks without weapons. Then let's get some guns, Vance said. Easier said than done. The Galactic Council had eyes everywhere the moment they caught wind of someone rebuilding a decommissioned warship. Alarms would goof across the system. They needed supplies, black market grade, and that meant dealing with some very bad people. That's how they ended up at Draska Station, a filthy, lawless pit of a trading hub where smugglers, bounty hunters, and exiled warlord W.S. ran the show. If it was illegal, you could find it there. Vance stepped off the shuttle with Wrecker at his side, scanning the CFO lives. They weren't here for small-time deals. They needed something big, a war chest of weapons, power cores, and thruster upgrades, and there was only one man who could provide the toy. Keen, former fleet commander, traded to the council arms dealer to anyone willing to pay the price. Are you sure about this? Wrecker muttered as they approached the intrancheto. Cash it out. No, Vance admitted, but we don't have a choice. The doors slid open, revealing a dimly lit chamber lined with racks of high-grade weaponry. At the center of it all, lounging in a throne-like chair, Waskane. He was older than Vance remembered. Gray streaked through his once dark hair, and a nasty scar cut across his cheek, but his eyes still sharp, still dangerous. Well. King drawled, leaning forward. If it isn't Elias, Vance, I thought they locked you up or put you in the ground by now. Vance Merrick, they tried. King chuckled. And now you come crawling to me. What do you need? A full weapons overhaul, Vance said. Rail cannons, plasma turrets, missile erase everything. C whistled. That's a hello fan order. What ship are wearing the Is Vanguard? Silence. Kane's amused expression fade, replaced by something colder. Hess sat up straighter. The Vanguard, that ship's a graveyard. Not anymore. For a moment Kane just stared, then slowly agony spread across his face. Well, underscore. and muttered, "You're serious, aren't you, Vance?" and didn't blink, dead serious. C chuckled, shaking his head. "All right, Commander, you want firepower, let'n talk price." The price wasn't just credits, had plenty of those. What he wanted was something more valuable. "See, I like you, Vance," he said, pouring himself a drink, "but weapons like these, they don't just fall off the back off a fighter. The Council tracks shy great artillery." Like a jealous Vince crossed his arms. "What do you want?" Kane took a sip, then leaned forward. "There's a ship there, Vega Council controlled. They use it to transport high-tech experimental gear. Word is there's a prototype power core on board one that could bring your junk pile back to life." Vance frowned. "And you want us to steal it for you?" C smirked. "Number, I want you to steal it for you." Silence hung between them. C swirled his drink. "Think about it. You need a power source, and I need someone reckless enough to take on a heavily armored transport. You pull this off, and I'll throw in every weapon you need. Call it an investment." Vance glanced at Wrecker, who gave a small nod. "Fine," Vance said, "but if you double-cross us, I'll turn those rail cannons on you first." Kane grinned. "That's that spirit." Back on the Vanguard, the Kree huddled around a holographic display off the Ravager. "Standard escort fleet," Kyla muttered, "for fighters, 2 corvettes, and a full security detail on board. More than I like," Rhea said. "We're running on duct tape and hope we won't be after we get that power core." Vance said, "What's their patro route?" Kyle tapped the console, bringing up a trajectory. "They'll be passing Throthtow Drift in 3 days. It's a mess of asteroid fields and magnetic storms, perfect for an ambush." Wrecker cracked his knuckles. "So what's the plan?" Guns blazing. "Not yet," Vance said. "We don't have enough firepower to win in a straight fight." Kyle smirked. Then witchy. 3 days later, the Vanguard drifted excellently through the drift, its systems running on minimal power to avoid detection. The asteroid field crackled with electromagnetic interference served for masking their approach inside the ship. Vance stood at the helm, eyes locked on the Ravager as it cut through space, its escorts flanking it like guard dogs. "All right," Vance said, letting Macus minnows. Kyle grinned and hit a switch on the outskirts of the drift. Adequate beacon activated, mimicking a distress signal from a Council ship. Their response was immediate. The Ravager captain ordered 2 of the escort fighters to investigate. "Idiots," Wrecker muttered. "With their defenses weakened, the Vanguard powered up and surged forward, its engines roaring to life. Brace for impact," Vince shouted as the ship burst from the asteroid field. Like a predator striking from the shadows, the Vanguard's ancient cannons opened fire, tearing through the awakened escort line. Alarms blared. Their Vega captain barely had time to react before the Vanguard latched onto it like a parasite. Vance led the boarding team, blaster in hand, as the airlock hissed open. "Letting go, get our damn power core." The moment the airlock cracked open, chaos erupted. Vance led that charge, his pulse rifle barking. As Head took down the first set of guards, Wrecker moved beside him, a walking tank with HFY armor and cybernetic limbs absorbing enemy fire like it was nothing. Kyle ducked behind cover, his pistol flashing as he picked off targets with deadly precision. The corridor was tight, designed to funnel intruders into kill zones. Too bad for them. Vance knew every damn trick. In Thebo grenade, Wrecker roared, throwing a compact EMP charge. The blue pulse ripped down the hallway, frying the security drones and disrupting the guards' visors. They pushed forward this way. Kales had it hacking into a wall panel and routing security protocols to slow down reinforcements. Vance checked his tactical display. The power core was in the main engineering bay, 5 decks down. "Elevators are locked." Rhea's voice crackled over comms. "You'll have to come manual." Great, Wrecker grumbled. 5 deck, that's a lot offstairs. Less talking, more moving," Vance ordered. They sprinted down a side corridor, cutting through main non-hatches and crawl spaces, bypassing the ship's main security botlocks. But the Ravager's captain wasn't an idiot. A deep mechanical thunk echoed through the halls as blast doors slammed shut, cutting off their direct route. "Red emergency lights bolster. You've got Comria," warned the lead security detail exhausts. Heavy armor fans as jaw tightened. They had to move. Kyle alternate route, working on it. A metallic roar filled the hallway as armored enforcers stomped around the corner. 10 FT tall exosuits bristling with weapons opened fire. "Downward," shouted the corridor. Exploded as plasma rounds ripped through the wall. Sparks and smoke filled the air. Wrecker grinning like a maniac grabbed a shock grenade from his belt. "Let's see how they like this," he growled. He tossed it, booming. The hallway lit up with an electric surge. The exosuits staggered, their systems overloaded. For just a second, a second was all Vance needed. He charged Ed forward, sliding beneath one of the disabled suits, jamming his pulse rifle under its visor and firing point blank. The pilot's scream cut short the exhaust collapse. Wrecker tore the arm of another suit with his cybernetic strut and beat the third guard to the ground with it. Kyle hacked the ship's lighting, plunging the area into darkness with their visors fried from the EMP. The remaining guards were blind one by one. They took them down the smoke-cleared engineering bay. "Is ahead." Kyle panicked chorus inside. Vance reloaded his rifle and nodded, then "Let's Finished this engineering bay was a fortress thick blast doors, automated gun turrets, a reinforced control room, with Theraviger's captain inside barking orders. Through the ship's comms and at the center of it all the prototype power core pulsing with raw energy suspended in a high-security containment field. Vince pressed his back against the wall, his mind working fast where outnumbered Kale muttered, checking his ammo and outgun. Nothing new. Wrecker grunted, cracking his knuckles. Rhea's voice came through. The cows, I've tapped into their system. I can disable the turrets beautifully for about 20 seconds. Before they're set, that's enough, Vance, said Kale. Pod doors, Wrecker, take point. We hit them hard. At fast, Kale worked his magic overriding security systems. Blast doors hissed open, and Helberkalus Wrecker went in first, a walking battering ram. Absorbing incoming fire with his cybernetic enhancements, his Shivi repeater spat death. Cutting down first wave of engineers and security officers, Kyle took out the turrets, his shots precise. While Rhea's hack bought them time, Vance moved like a ghost weaving through the chaos, gunning down targets with deadly efficiency. The captain, a grizzled officer in a high-tech common suit, wasn't running. Instead, he reached for something, a failsafe. Vance, Rhea's voice screamed. He's trying to overload the core .. If that captain activated the fail-safe, the core would implode, taking the entire ship. And then, with it, Vance moved faster than thought, have vaulted over consoles. Dodging gunfire, captain's hand slammed down on the control panel, delayed a warning klaxon blared. The core's containment field is stabilized, energy surging dangerously. Core is going to blow, Kyle yelled. Vance tackled the captain, slamming him into the console. They grappled, fists flying. The captain was a fighter, but Vance fought dirty. A sharp elbow to the throat, a brutal pistol whipped over the skull. The captain collapsed. Vance spun to the controls. His hands flew across the console, Rhea guiding him through the overload sequence. Thefield's failing, she warned. You have 10 seconds to stabilize it or eject it. No time, no margin for error. Vance rerouted power, isolating the core's failsafe systems. His heart pounded. One wrong move and they were all dead. The countdown reached to seconds. Vance slammed Theffield command. The energy suggestibilized for a second. Everything went still. Then the core pulsed steady and a lift silence. Vance exhaled. We got it. Kyle let out a breathless laugh. Holy .. Wrecker kicked. Unconscious captain, he ain't going to like waking up. Vance turned to Thekor, watching as its energy hummed with raw potential. The Vanguard's about to bear born. Getting the power core was one thing, getting out alive was another. Theraviger surviving crew wasn't just going to roll over and let them leave. Hostile regrouping, Kale warned. Pulling up a hollow map, red blips flickered all over the ship. They're locking down corridors, setting up kill zones. Vance cursed. They were boxed in. We need an extraction point, Wrecker said, reloading his repeater. Rhea's voice crackled over comms. I have an idea, but you are not going to like it. Try me, Vance said. I can reroute the emergency fire suppression system. Vent the ship's oxygen from selected decks. It'll force their forces to retreat. Let me guess, Kyle said. We standing on one of those decks? Rhea hesitated. I'll keep your rider pressurized long enough. Just and fast. Vance glanced at Wrecker and Coyle. You heard the lady move. Rhea trigger at the override across the Ravager. Airlocks burst open, warnings blared, emergency lights flickered. The halls filled with chows as crew members scrambled for shelter. Vance and his team bolted. They sprinted through the corridors, paced at choking engineers and disoriented security forces. Those who still tried to fight found themselves outgunned and outmaneuvered. Wreckers shouldered through a bulkhead, tearing through a locked door with sheer brute force. Kale hacked open the docking bay, overriding the emergency lockdown through the blast doors. They saw her. The Vanguard, the ship loomed in the docking bay, still battered, still unfinished. But no alive. Rhea had already powered it up. Core they had stolen, pulsing in its reactor chamber. Like a heartbeat. Get on board, Vance shouted. Gunfire rained down as the Ravager remaining forces poured into the hangar turret. Swiveled, sirens blared. A last-ditch effort to stop them laid down, suppressing fire. His repeater tearing through the enemy ranks. Kyle sprinted ahead, sliding under incoming shots. He hit the airlock controls. It's open, go, Vance. And Wrecker charged up the ramp, blaster fire sizzling past them the moment they were inside. Rhea sealed the doors and Fred then controlled onto something. She warned. The Vanguard roared the life engines. Floret the ship lurched, shaking off its docking clamps. Then it launched the Ravager. Remaining defenses opened fire, plasma rounds screaming toward them. But the Vanguard, reborn with its stolen power core, was fast. Rhea spun ship through the storm of fire weaving through the chaos. The Holberly holding together, jump drive charging. She announced, hold out for 10 more seconds. Vance grabbed the weapons controls. Then let's give them something to remember us by Thevangard's newly installed rail cannon. Scorty of Kane's black market stockpile charged up. Vance smirked. Ferez's ship unleashed hell. A full volley of frail gun rounds slammed into the Ravager hangar bay. Explosions ripped through the hull, tearing through decks, sending fire and debris cascading. Into the void moment the destruction hit its peak. Vanguard's jump drive activated. A bright flash of energy engulfed the ship and they were gone minutes later, deep in uncharted space. The crew exhaled. The ship was intact, the power core wastable. They had done advanced step it over the bridge viewport, staring out into the void. The Vanguard wasn't just a wreck anymore, it was a live wrecker. Clapped him on the shoulder. Hell of a ride, Commander. Kyle grinned. We just stole from the most powerful fleet in the galaxy. They're going to come after us with everything they've got. Vance smirked. Let them try. Rhea turned to the ship's interface, where a digital entity flickered into view. A low synthetical filled the bridge. Havoc, the rogue I had awakened. Now this, the AI said, is going to be fun. Getting the power core was one thing, getting out alive was another. Theravega surviving crew wasn't just going to roll over and let them leave. Hostile regrouping. Kale warned, pulling up a hollow map. Red blips flickered all over his ship. They're locking down corridors, setting up kill zones. Vance cursed. They were boxed and we need an extraction point. Wrecker said, reloading his repertory's voice crackled over comms. I have an idea, but you're not gonna like it. Remy. Vance said, I can route the emergency fire suppression system. Vance ship's oxygen from selected decks. It'll force their forces toward retreat. Let me guess, Kale said, West standing on one of those decks. Rhea hesitated. I'll keep your corridor pressured long enough. Just run fast. Vince glanced at rear. And Kyle, you hard lady move. Rhea triggered the override. Decross the Ravager. Airlocks burst open. Warnings blared. Emergency lights flickered. The halls filled with chaos. A crew member scrambled for shelter. Vance and his team bolted. They sprinted through the corridors, past choking engineers and disoriented security forces. Those who still tried to fight found them elves outgunned and outmaneuvered. Wrecker shouldered through a bulkhead, tearing through a locked door with sheer brute force. Kyle hacked Opinthi docking bay, overriding the emergency lockdown through the blast doors. They saw her, the Vanguard. The ship loomed at docking bay, still battered, still unfinished. But now alive. Rhea had already powered it up. The core they had still impulsing in its reactor chamber. Like a heartbeat. Get on board, Vance shouted, and fire rained down as the Ravager remaining forces poured into the hangar turret. Swiveled sirens blared a last-ditch effort to stop them. Wrecker lay down, suppressing fire, his repeater tearing through the enemy ranks. Kaya sprinted ahead, sliding under incoming shots. He hit the airlock controls, its open govents, and Wrecker charged up the ram blaster fire, sizzling past them. The moment they were inside, Rhea sealed the doors and fired the engines. Hold onto some methane, she warned. The Vanguard Roredo life engines flared. The ship lurched, shaking off its docking clamps. Then it launched the Ravager. Remaining defenses spent fire plasma rounds screaming toward them. But the Vanguard, reborn with its stolen power core, was fast. Rhea spun the ship through the storm of fire, weaving through the chaos, the hull barely holding together. Jump drive charging, she announced. Hold out for 10 more seconds. Vance grabbed the weapons controls. Then let's give them something to remember us by. The Vanguard's newly installed rail cannons, courtesy of Can's black market stockpile, charged up. Vance smirked. Forest ship unleashed hell. A full volley of frail gun rounds slammed into the Ravager hangar bay. Explosions ripped through the hull, tearing through decks, sending fire and debris cascading into the void. The moment the destruction hit its peak, the Vanguard's jump drive activated. A bright flash of energy engulfed the ship, and they were gone minutes later, deep in uncharted space. The crew exhaled. The ship was intact. The power core was stable. They had done advanced step toward the bridge viewport, staring out into the void. The Vanguard wasn't just a wreck anymore. It was a live wrecker. Clapped him and Thies Hooder. Hell of a ride, Commander. Kyle grinned. We just stole from the most powerful fleet in the galaxy. They're going to come after us with everything they've got. Vance smirked. Let them. Triria turned to the ship's interface, where a digital entity flickered into view. Allosynthetic chuckle filled the bridge. Havoc, the rogue AI had awakened. Now this, the AI said, is going to be fun. The ISS Vanguard had been reborn, but that also meant every major power in the galaxy wanted it dead. Barely a week had passed since Theodorine escaped from the Ravager, and already the bounty was sky-high. Galactic Council labeled them as terrorists, were criminals and pirates. Every bounty hunter, mercenary, and ex-fleet officer looking for a payday was now tracking them across the stars. Vince stood on the bridge, arms crossed, watching the holoscreen display their wanted posters, his own face glaring back at him with a 100 million credit reward. Wrecker chuckled beside him. Damn, Commander, that's a lot of zero. Kyle whistled. I'm almost tempted to turn you in myself. Vance shot him a look. Try it on deal, throw you out there. Lock. Rhea was less amused. We need Apple, and the Council won't just let this gather coming. She was right. Their stolen power core wasn't just valuable, it was dangerous. If the wrong people got their hands on it, they could mass produce unstoppable warship stats. Why the Council had locked it away in the first place. Now every faction in the galaxy wanted the Vanguard either to steal the tech or destroy it. Before someone else could, the ship's AI Havoc flickered on the display. His digital form was humanoid. His expression was anything but human, grinning, calculating. Gun predict. You do realize Havoc said that every bounty hunter in the system will try to kill us now Vance smirked. Then we'd better be ready. 3 days later, out of Ren Dead Zone sector, the Vanguard drifted through the ruins of unancient battlefield wreckage. From wars long forgotten floating in the void, it was the perfect place to hide. Until it was in Kale's console beeped sharply. Incoming ships. He said multiplex signatures fast. Vance moved to his seat. Whoa, is it? Kyle's face paled. Black Star Fleet. The name sent a chill through their room. Black Star was not just any bounty hunting crew. They were ex-militarists and always got their target. They must have picked up our trail. Rhea muttered. Wrecker checked his weapons. Then let's show them why that was a mistake. Vance didn't hesitate. Battle station. The view screen. 5 Black Star warships emerged from the debris field. Weapons locking on. Havoc cuckolded. Oh, this is going to be fun. The Vanguard's engines roared as the battle began. The Black Star fleet wasted no time there. 5 warships spread out surrounding the Vanguard in a perfecto formation. Plasma cannons charging missile locks beeped across the bridge shields at 60%. Rhea called out. Vance men worked fast. They were outnumbered, but not outplayed. Wrecker manned rail cannons. He ordered Kale, find me way out of this trap. Havoc flickered the life on the main display, grinning. Oh, you'll love what I have in mind. The first barrage hit. The Vanguard shook violently as plasma rounds slammed into its shields. Wrecker fired back railgun shots, ripping into the nearest Black Star cruiser. The enemy ship Rhea led, but its allies closed in their pushing us towards the debris field. Rhea warned it. Then let him use advance, said Kyle. Can you mask our signature? Kyle's fingers flew over the controls. I can use the wreckage to scramble their scanners, but it'll only buy us a few seconds. That's all I need. And say boom, a missile detonated against their hull, sending sparks flying. Shields at 30%. Rhea shouted. Havoc clawed. Oh, you guys are in trouble. Vance gritted his teeth. Not yet. With a sudden jerk, he cut the Vanguard's engines. The ship went dead in space. The Black Star fleet hesitated. Their sensors flickered, struggling to track the now motionless Warrior warship. It was the opening. Vance needed fire. Everything, he roared. Wrecker grinned and unleashed hell. The Vanguard's railguns, plasma turrets, and missile pods fired at once, ripping through the nearest Black Star ship like it was made of paper. The enemy vessel exploded in a fireball, debris slamming into its allies. Direct hit, Kale shouted. But that Black Star fleet wasn't done. Their remaining warships recovered fast, adjusting. The formation, 2 of them broke off, flanking Vanguard from both sides. They're trying to pin us in. Rhea warned. Vance's jaw clenched. They need dead, no moving, no Havoc, he said. Give me a jump solution. They grinned. Already working on it, boss. Another Black Star ship fired a high-yield torpedo, streaking toward them seconds away from impact. Havoc's voice boomed over the comms. Jump drive engaged. A blinding flash of energy swallowed the Vanguard, and they were gone. Deep space, unknown coordinates. The Vanguard emerged from hyperspace, engine a sputtering hull. Scarred from battle, they had escaped, but barely. Vance exhaled. Report. Rhea ran a systems check. Hull integrity at 60%. Shields are down. Weapons offline. 4 cards. Kale smirked. But we live. Wrecker grinned, wiping sweat from his brow. Not bad, Commander. Vance turned to the view screen where the vast empty void stretched before them. They had won the fight, but the Black Star fleet would be back, and next time they wouldn't be alone. Havoc's voice crackled through the bridge. So anyone want to guess where wages? Jump head. Though the AI zoomed in on a distant plane tone that shouldn't have existed. Vance's blood ran cold, because that wasn't just any planet. That was Exile 9. The place where the Council dumped their darkest secrets, and now the Vanguard had just landed. In the middle of them, the Vanguard drifted toward Exile 9, its engines flickering, each still scarred. Formidable. Vance stared at the view screen. His gut was in. Exile 9 wasn't on any official star maps. It wasn't a place anyone to visit willingly. The Galactic Council listed as a graveyard, not for ships, but for secrets, experiments, and people they wanted to erase. Kyle whistled low. Oh, this is bad. Wrecker frowned. I thought this planet was just a myth. Rhea scanned the surface. Not a myth, it's real. Answered them down. There is broadcasting a signal. Vance's eyes narrowed. A distress signal. Rhea shook her head. Number. A warning on the screen. A message looped over and over in broken, garbled audio. Don't land. Do not respond. Turn back. Then static. Havoc chuckled. Well, now we have Edo land. Vance sighed. I hate that I agree with you. Kyle turned from his console. I hate to rush this decision, but our power core is still stabilizing. If we don't sit down and make repairs, we're dead in space. The seal that take us in. Vance ordered. The Vanguard's thrusters fired, guiding them down through Exile 99's the greenish atmosphere. The ship shook violently as turbulence rocked them, alarms blaring, then clear skies. The surface came into view, and what they saw made Vance's blood run Cold ruins, massive sprawling ruins of abandoned dredge facilities, broken down fortresses, and wreckage from ships that had crashed long ago. Some were still smoldering their fires, refusing toady and worse. There were bodies, hundreds, maybe thousands, scattered across the ruins, frozen in place like something had killed them, and instantly Wrecker muttered, "I don't like this." Kyle swallowed hard. "Yeah, man, either re-scan the area. There's a structure still giving off power. If there are answers there," and their van stood. "Gear up, we're going down." Havoc's voice crackled. "Oh, spooky abandoned death world. I love this mission." Or red-eyed crew exchanged uneasy glances. Something had happened on Exile 9, and now they were about to find out what the air was wrong. Vance and his team stepped out off Vanguard's loading bay, weapons ready, helmets sealed against the toxic atmosphere. The ground beneath them was cracked, lifeless stone covered in ash and dust from disasters long forgotten. Overhead, dark green storm clouds churning, casting an eerie glow over the landscape, and the silence was the worst part now. And no animals, no signs of life, just bodies frozen in place. Some standing, some kneeling, some mid-run, like whatever had killed them had done so instantly. "All right," Vance muttered, gripping his rifle. "Keep it tight. We move fast, we stay smart. And we don't touch anything." Kyle swept his scanner across the bodies. His face bailed there, not to compose. Vance frowned. "What?" Kyle adjusted the scanner. "Some of these corpses have been here for decades, maybe longer, but their tissue is still intact. No decay, no rot." Wrecker swore under his breath. "That ain't normal." Rhea stepped forward, eyeing the ruins ahead. A massive facility loomed in the distance, its outer walls scorched but still intact. "That's our target," she said. "If anything survived, it's in there." Vance nodded. Then the ton moved. They advanced through the ruins, stepping over ancient wreckage and abandoned weapons, past frozen corpses with twisted expressions of terror. Thieslins while suffocating, and then a noise, a low distorted whisper crawling through their ears. "Who are you?" The team froze. Vance rifle snapped up. "Rhea, was that you?" Chef's hook, her head, eyes wide. "No." The whisper redder and stronger. "Now you shouldn't bet her." Then static. Kyle's wallowed. "I really hate this place." Vance forced himself to keep moving, but deep down he knew something was watching them, something that hadn't eaten with the rest of Exile 9, and it was waiting. The ruins swallowed them whole. Twisted metal and shattered walls loomed over them, the remnants of what had once been a massive research facility. Now it was nothing but a graveyard. Vance led the way, rifle up, every instinct screaming that they were being watched. The whispers had stopped a bit. That only made it worse. Something was her entrance up ahead, Rhea whispered. The facility doors were half open, twisted from an explosion. Long Agatha interior beyond was dark. Too dark. Kale pulled up the facility's data logs on his wrist scanner. His face went pale. "This place was called Project." Nixush murmured, "Classified black site, not public records." The council wiped it from his story. Wrecker grunted. "That's never a good sign." Vance exhaled. "Of course. It was a black site. The council never buried its failures. They erased them. And this was one hell of a mistake." "All right," he muttered, weapon shot. "We go in slow." They stepped through the doors. Inside, the air was thick and stale, untouched by time. The walls were covered in strange markings written in a language none of them recognized. Then they saw it, a control room, mostly intact. "Kill," Vance said, nodding toward consoles. "See what you can pull." Kylek knelt beside the ruined screens, rewiring dead systems. Sparks flickered. Thelites flickered, then a screen blinked. Life, a video log, static. Crackled. Oschintis appeared, wildy face covered in sweat. His voice was shaking. "We were wrong. We thought we could control it. We thought." A loud bang in the background. Scientists whipped around, eyes wide on terror. "It's awake." The screen cut to black. The lights flickered again, then a distant metallic screech. Rhea's breath itched. That wasn't static. Anna, the screech closer. Wrecker's grip on his rifle tightened. "Are not alone in here." The whisper stretched, slithering through their comms. "You stayed too long." A thud echoed down the hallway, then another heavy slow. Something was coming. Vance raised his sweep in defensive positions. Now the corridor beyond the control room went pitch black. Then out of the darkness it moved. The shadows shifted. Something who emerged from the darkness, a shape tooled to twisted to be human. Its limbs were elongated, moving with an unnatural jerking motion. The dim emergency lights got glimpses of it, pale leathery skin, metallic implants jutting from its spinny into face. That was wrong. Not a mask, no, a helmet, just wrong. Its head snapped towards them, and then it screamed, a sound like metal grinding against bone, like 1,000 voices shrieking at one seat. Ripped through their skulls. McKinkill stumbled back, clutching his helmet open. "Fire!" Vance roared. The Vanguard crew and loaded pulse rifles lit up Thecridor rounds, slamming into Thecreator's torso. Wrecker's repeater hammered it with armor-piercing slugs. Rhea fired a shock charge, aiming for its exposed implants. For a moment it staggered. Then it kept coming. Kayla yelled. It's barely slowing down. Thieding lurched forward, moving too fast for something that size. Boom! Wrecker hit it with a grenade. The blast sent Thecreator crashing into the wall, smoke and dust billowing around it. Silenced in a low growl, the dust cleared. It was still standing. Fall back. Vance ordered. Eddie ran the corridor. Was a maze of ruins. The facilities once pristine how is collapsed, and twisted tech creature chased them, its thewing footsteps growing faster. Havoc. Vance shouted into Cal's, get us a damn exit. Thea's voice crackled back, but you guys are having fun, sending coordinates now of your asses. Hatchway ahead, their way out. But before they could reach it, Asic and Screech, and then more of them shapes. Crawling from the walls, from Thevens, from the shadows, dozens record cursed Vance. I see them, Vance growled. Run. They sprinted for the hatch. As tech creatures swarmed forward, shrieking climb over each other. Rhea hit the door panel. It jammed. Come on. Come on. Tech creatures lunged. Vince spun, firing point blank. One drop. Another kept coming. Wrecker grabbed Kyle by the collar and hurled him through the half-opening hatch. Tech creatures closed and Vance slammed his fist into the emergency override. The door finally gave way. They dived through. Last thing Vance saw before the door slammed shut was the creatures crashing into it. Climbed, screeching, desperate to get through. Then silence. For a moment the team just breathed. Kyle wiped sweat from his brow. Okay, new role. Never explore haunted death planets. Everecker grunted. Agreed. Rhea checked the hollow map where it closed to the central archive. If there are answers, we'll find them. The Vance exhaled, gripping his rifle. They weren't done yet. Whatever had happened here, whatever these things were, the council had buried it for a reason. And now the Vanguard crew was about to uncover the truth. The hallway stretched ahead. Like a wound in the earth dark, we had waiting. Vance moved first, rifle up, senses wired. For danger, the others followed close behind their footsteps, barely making a sound against the cold metal floor. Behind them the echoes of the things. Klein at the sealed door faded into the distance, but didn't mean they were safe, not even close. Rhea checked her hollow map. The central archive. It's the levels down. Looks like an old elevator shaft up ahead. Kyla muttered, let me guess, elevators. Busted. Rhea scanned again. Completely no power record side. Of course. Vance rechecked the shaft and peered down a deep black abyss. The elevator car was a twisted wreck at the bottom. We climb, he said. Wrecker clipped his grappling cable to the support beam. You'll go first, one by one. They descended. The deeper they went, the colder it got, not just temperature-wise. The air itself felt wrong, like something old was watching. Whispers brushed against their ears. Not through the calms this time. And there they see you, they hear you. They are waiting. Vance's fingers tightened around his rifle. Keep moving, he said. Then Kai slipped. His cable snapped. Had plummeted. Vance lunged, grabbing him by the wrist just in time. Kyle dangled over at the abyss, breathing hard. Okay, I'm good, not dead. Rear grunted. Hold still. He reached down, hauled Kale back up with own arm. Kale panted. Yep, new fare unlocked. They finally reached the bottom. The archive doors loomed ahead. Slight light-in. The light inside was still, and Vance exchanged a look with Rhea. This place should be dead, she whispered. How is the power still running? Only one way to find out. They pushed inside. Central archive project next facility. The room was massive, a sea of hollow terminals, data cores, and shattered glass tubes. Kyle hurried to a working console. I'll pull what I can. Re-examine the broken to best humanized. Some still has skeletal rem inside. She swallowed. These were people record found test subjects. Vance scanned the labels. On the glass, real numbers, no names. But one phrase stood out. Nexus protocol, genome enhancement, final phase. Rhea's breath itched. Oh my God. Vance turned what Shep pointed. At the shattered tubes, they weren't experimenting on prisoners. They were trying to create something else. Gale's console beep. Got a log file, pulling it up. No. The whole screen flickered. A scientist appeared. Same man from that first video, pale, hollow-eyed, desperate. Day 463. We have failed. The Nexus protocol was meant to create the next stage of evolution. Enhanced soldiers immune to disease, stronger, faster. But something will work. A sound in the background. A distant, distorted screech. The mutations, they don't stop. They keep changing, adapting. I don't think they're human. Any or a loud crash. The scientist flinched, his eyes wide with terror. I activated the failsafe. If you're seeing this, do not open the lower levels. Do not bang the video. Cut off silence. Then a deep guttural growl from somewhere in the facility. Wrecker raised at his rifle. We need to go now. Kyle grabbed as much data as he could hack in a closed system. Takes time. Vance turned Toria. How bad is this? She looked at the tubes, at the shattered remnants. This wasn't just a science experiment gone wrong. Her voice was barely above a whisper. They were macking something. The council cowed at control. Another growl. Closer. Kyle's console flashed. Redo. Oh no, what? Vance asked. Kale's face went white. Something just reactivated. Lower levels. Heavy footsteps shook floor. The lights flickered. A cold voice hissed through the cows. They were awake. Vance gritted his teeth. Weapons up. This is about to get ugly. The floor trembled beneath their boots. Something big was moving in the lower levels. The lights flickered, casting long shadows across the shattered archive. The air grew thick, charged like a facility itself was holding its breath. Kyle's fingers flew over thick and soul as he tried to rip as much data as possible. Almost done, just need a few more seconds. A deep metallic thud echoed from the hall. Then another insolence. Vance lifted his rifle, eyes on doorway. Wrecker Kale Rhea defensive position. Stricker moved first, taking cover behind a fallen console. Heavy repeater locked and loaded. Rhea crouched near a data core pulse pistol. Ready. Kale still hacking, muttered, "Oh no pressure, Kale, just hurry up before the death monsters show up." Then the door exploded. A black shape lunged through the smoke, moving too fast for something so massive it slammed into Wrecker like a wrecking ball, sending him crashing into a steel beam contact. Vance roared, firing, teething, snarled, recoiling as pulse rounds tore into his skin, but it didn't stop. For the first time, Vance got a clear look at it. A nightmare wrapped in flesh and metal. It stood 7 feet tall, humanoid in shape, but grotesquely enhanced. Its limbs stretched unnaturally long, reinforced with blackened cybernetic-lating veins, glowed blue, pulsating like a living power core. Its face, if it had known, was a twisted amalgamation of bone metal and hollow, soulless eyes. It lurched forward, a metallic roar ripping from its throat. "Take it down," Vance barked. The room erupted in gunfire. Rhea already back on his feet unloaded his repeater into the creature's chest. It staggered, but kept moving. Rhea fired a shot round the creature, which ed violently, but didn't fall. Kale finished his data transfer, grabbed his pistol, and shot it point blank in the head. Nothing. It didn't even flinch. The thing lunged, advanced, sweeping with razor-sharp clawed fingers. He barely dodged, rolling aside as its hand sliced through solid metal like paper. It's adapting, Rhea shouted. It's learning how we fight. The monster turned toward her fast. Vance saw his muscles tense, ready to pounce. Oh hell no. He grabbed a plasma grenade from his belt, activated it, and shoved it straight into the creature's cavity. Eat this. Boom. The explosion ripped through its torso, sending it flying backward into a bank of data cores. Sparks and smoke filled the room. For a moment nothing moved, then through haze it twitched. Its wound sealed. It was healing. Kyle's voice cracked. "Oh screw this, man." The floor rumbled again. It just from one creature. From many more through footsteps. More screeched from the halls beyond. Rhea's face drained off color. "There's more of them." Vance grabbed Kyle by the arm. Time to go. They sprinted for the exit as more abominations poured through the breached doorway. Kyle fired blindly behind him. "I hate this planet. I hate this planet. I hate." The hallway collapsed. Metal beam scratched down, sealing the archive behind them, trapping the creatures inside. For now they ran through Theruins, the flickering lights barely illuminating their path. The Vanguard's beacon pulsed on Van's wrist. Display, they were closed. Then another voice whispered through Thecoms, "You cannot escape." "We are already inside." Vance's stomach dropped. He activated ship comms. "Havoc status report. Are we clear for launch?" Iceland's then Havoc's distorted, laughing voice. "Oh, you guys are going to love this. We have a problem." Rhea stared at Vance. "What now?" Havoc's voice crackled. "Something is on the ship." Vance gritted, his teeth moved. Now they sprinted toward the Vanguard, because now it wasn't just Exile 9 that was compromised. Ether only way out was already infected. The Vanguard loomed ahead in storm-lit darkness, its hull still scarred from the last battle. Its landing ramp was down, waiting, but something was wrong. The ship was too quiet. No homophagians, no flashing lights. From Thebridge, Juscelin's Vance's gut twisted. He pressed after the Hiscoms. "Havoc report." The AI laughed, edge-lurching. "Oh, Commander, we have company." Wrecker's grip tightened on his rifle. "How bad?" "On a scale of mild inconvenience." Toss screwed beyond reason. "Yeah, we're at Graybeard guns." And Precile groaned. "I hate when he dossed us." Vance moved first, sprinting up there, amp weapons up. "If anything moves, that shouldn't kill it." They stormed inside. The ship was dark, not emergent satellite, dark, dead dark. Rhea checked Hers display power levels are dropping. Something's draining the core. Kyle's voice shook at guys. They turned. He was staring at the floor. A trail of black oily liquid stretched down the corridor, thick ink moving, not spilled fluid, not oilsome thing. Alive, it twitched, pulsed, and slithered. "I have a very bad feeling about this," Kyle whispered. Then a sound, not a growl, not a screech. I whisper, "Why do you run?" The voice came from everywhere. And nowhere. The lights flickered, and that's when they saw it. Hunched in the corridor, a head half shadowed in the dim flickering glow. It wasn't just one of the creatures, it was something worse. Its form wasn't stable, shifting between flesh and something else. Its veins glowed, its body twitching, distorting like reality. Its soul struggled to hold it together, its eyes locked onto them, empty, endless, wrong. And then it moved faster than thought, straight for them. The thing lunged. Vance fired first, his pulse rifle screaming as it lit up the corridor. The creaturette twisted unnaturally, dodging bullets in ways no living thing should. Wrecker tackled it head on, his cybernetic arms locking around its shifting form. For a moment, it struggled, thrashing violently. Then it poured itself into him. No attacking Gabsberg. Wrecker screamed. The black, oily tendrils wrapped around his limbs, slithering into his implants, digging under his skin. His body ceased twitching violently. Kyle froze in horror. Wrecker Vince didn't hesitate. He grabbed his shock charge from his belt, set it to maximum impulse, and slammed. Yet into Wrecker's chest boom, electricity surged through both of them. The creature shrieked. As the energy crackled through its shifting body, it peeled away from Wrecker, twisting violently, splitting apart. Into nothing in thin-silence, Wrecker collapsed. Wrecker. Rhea rushed to him, scanning his vitals. His breathing was ragged, but stable. His cybernetics flickered, struggling. Torbu Kylie exhaled wholly. __. That was close, but Vince's focus was elsewhere. The black sludge remained. It didn't die. It was still moving. Retreating down tech readers, slithering toward the reactor core. Fans' stomach dropped. It's going for the core, Rhea whispered. It's trying to infect the ship, Kyle cursed. If it takes over the Vanguard, we're dead. Vance finished. The ship trembled, lights flickered. Violently, Havoc's voice crackled through the speakers. Oh, no. I am not getting Buddy Snatcher today. The eyes toned dark and Commander, you might want to brace. I'm about to do something very, very stupid. Vance didn't like the sound of that. Havoc. What are you flushing the core? Rhea's eyes widened. Wait. Then the ship exploded with light. A surge of raw energy burst from their reactor, spreading through the Vanguard systems like wildfire. The black sludge convulsed, screeching, thrashing violently as the overload burned through it. The lights flared to full power. The darkness peeled and then it was gone. Vance gasped for breath. His hand shook as the last traces of the nightmare evaporated. The ship stabilized. That reactor hummed normally again. Havoc's voice returned, smug as ever. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how you delete the cosmic horror. Wrecker groaned. Next time, warn US boy, you try to fry the ship. Rhea exhaled, rubbing her nipples. Is it over? Kyle checked his scanner. No anomalies, no movement. He let out a slow breath. I think we actually liquid. Advance looked at the charred remains of the black sludge on the floor. Number, not killed, just delayed, because whatever the council created here, it wasn't meant to die. It had been waiting, and now thanks to Theme it knew the way out. Vance squared his shoulders. Were 11 minutes later. The Vanguard's engines rode to life.